Thank you. We are now called to order the Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee meeting for November the 10th, 2020. The following council members are part of this committee: Vice Chair Annette Scipio, Councilmember Robert Clark, and Councilmember Dan Bessie. I have to read the order. Good afternoon. Due to the Safer at Home order, all committee members are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, committee members will be muted until asked to be heard. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A committee member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. And I have already called the names of the committee members, but I will again because it's on the sheet. Committee members are Councilmember Annette Scipio, Vice Chair Councilmember Dan Bessie, and Councilmember Robert Clark, as well as myself, Mayor Pro Tem Dee Adams. This agenda today, we have 9 consent items. We have 2 general agenda items. Staff has requested that we pull consent item 5. Are there any other items that the committee would like to be pulled, or any from the council members on the meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the balance.
Thank you. We have a first and a second by Councilmember Robert Clark and Vice Chair Scipio. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye when your name is called. Councilmember Scipio?
Yes.
Councilmember Bessie?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
And Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Adams, yes. And that is unanimous and it passes. Will the city clerk please read the first general agenda item?
Item G1, resolution authorizing acceptance of CARES Act grant funds, execution of agreements with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and execution of agreements with local agencies.
As all of you know, in the past several months, you've seen a lot of these CARES Act funds and resolutions come through committee and the council, but at this time I'll ask Assistant City Manager Tasha Logan Ford to speak to this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of the committee, council member-elects. The item before you regarding the CARES assistance, I'll ask Ms. Newman if she'll present this. This is one of 6 rounds of CARES Act funding that we have received, and we are proposing to use the funds with this allocation to support individuals that may be facing evictions. We realize, based on several of reports and studies that we have coming in, that this is a serious problem. We anticipate that this is a problem that will continue to grow coming next year. So we wanted to use these funds to try to assist as many residents as possible. Ms. Newman, if you would please present this item.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Chair Adams, members of the committee and members of the council and council-elect. I am Marla Newman, Community Development Director. This particular round of funding with the CARES Act, as was stated by Ms. Logan Ford, is designed to assist those who are both struggling with the potential for eviction as well as mortgage foreclosure and the payment of utility bills that are past due. This money, $1.3 million, can also be on top of, well, it's actually 1.2, let's see, 1.3, but we're using a portion for rent and utility assistance, and then the other is dealing with the administrative costs. But there's a total of 1.375863 in CDBG funds, 90% of which will actually be allocated to citizens. What the process will be is that we will issue a request for proposals to organizations that have experience in providing funding of this nature to other community residents who have had issues in the past with emergency assistance. So we will open it up to that group and anyone else in the community that has that experience. It will be a competitive application process that will be scored so that we can make sure that we have sufficient capacity and ability to take care of these needs. We did build in some administrative cost for that, so we're not expecting that this work takes place free. We also know that the state has started a program called HOPE, and that this, in conjunction with HOPE, should help us really start to make some headway around helping folks who are at risk of eviction or potentially having their mortgages foreclosed. And you will see that we've attached an exhibit to this action item outlining all of the ways that the previous rounds of CARES Act funding has been allocated. It lists the overarching amount of the award from the federal government, where we are in the process from working out the contracts to the organizations to actually being at the stage where we are able to make allocations. And then we also have it broken down in terms of which agencies received what amount of money and how that money is expected to be spent in the community. So I will pause at this point and see if there are any questions that I might be able to answer.
Councilmember Clark.
Yeah, just curious, are we going to put together, I guess I would call them guidelines on who qualifies and who doesn't, or how much is there an upper limit, lower limit?
Absolutely. That's
whatever it may be.
Yes, that's included in the request for proposals, where it talks about who the target.
So they would come back.
I'm sorry?
Okay. And when do you think we will be able to start, receive the proposals in, pick one and get going? When do you think we can start sending checks to folks?
We expect, based on the timeline on when the requests for proposals are due, when they can be scored, and the organization can be selected, it is our expectation that the money will start to flow in January.
Okay, because this is there's a lot of need out there, and I'd love to get it to them as quick as we can. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments from the committee? One of the things, Ms. Newman, that everybody needs to understand, and it's in the card, that we will not be providing checks to individuals. Checks will go to the agency to the utility companies, the landlords, the mortgage holders, or whatever. I would also like to see, I know you guys probably think I keep adding on to these matrix, but in this matrix, and it's a good matrix, I'd like to see another matrix, if we can't add it on to this one, another sheet, just like we do with community development block grant or ERS money. I'd like to see the different agencies, such as Bethesda, United, ESR, United Way, whoever, in their own category and how much money they've gotten to date. And I'd also like to see at the bottom of the grant type amount in HUD notice date, I'd like to see a total amount of CARES money. We're passing notes.
Could we see Exhibit A, Exhibit 1? Could we see Exhibit 1 in the packet? It looked like that's kind of what we're being provided.
We have it, but there are no totals. We have the matrix, we created it, but now I'm asking for something else to be added to the matrix.
Okay.
Because we need to, just like the housing numbers, we get the requests for housing projects and the money, but we need to know, like we said last night, how much housing have we built? You know, where are we on that? And I think, you know, the public, as council members, it would be good for us to know how much money the city of Winston-Salem has received in CARES money, because I don't know the total unless I take out a calculator. But we also need to understand where it went. We know where it went, we know what it was used for, but I think it would be good if we had the agencies individually to understand where that money went. Any other questions or comments? Vice Chair Scipio.
Yes. Of the $1,375,000, I know we're going to ask for requests for proposals from agencies to actually distribute this funds. How much of this money are we putting aside for agency services as opposed to how much will actually be going to residents? Is that in any of the documents?
90% of the funds are going directly to the providers of the housing and utilities for the applicants. 10% is to cover administrative cost of staffing. No other programs are involved in this particular allocation of the funds.
And is that 10% our normal allocation?
Yes, that is
Okay.
within the range.
Okay, thank you.
So we're talking about out of the $1.375 million, $863, $1,238 and $277 is the 90%, and the 10%, Vice Chair, is $137,586. Any other questions or concerns to be had?
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Clark and seconded by Vice Chair Scipio. I will now do the roll call vote. Vice Chair Scipio,
Yes.
Councilmember Bessie,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Adams, yes. Motion passes. Committee, we will have to go back and address a consent item. There's a citizen that came in after the vote, and the city attorney has informed me that we need to go back to allow that citizen to speak. And to city attorney, will we be taking a revote or anything?
You will.
Okay, and we will be taking a revote. Will the clerk please read the item? And Ms. Martin, is the citizen available to speak? Okay.
Item C4, Terence Wardlow and Jonathan Wardlow, 1728 Longview Drive, Southeast Ward. Ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure, repairs exceeding 65% of value of the structure.
I would also like to, if Ms. Richmond is on the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Richmond, would you speak to this property and give us the presentation, please?
Yes, this is item C4 in the PowerPoint that you'll see. Mary gets bringing that up now. Mr. Wardlow, 1728 Longview Drive, and the case number shows this is in the Southeast Ward. The City of Winston-Salem Community Development Office has followed the due process in notifying the property violations to the owners that were listed from the tax office. There were 7 housing violations. The violations were all submitted to the clerk's office. The hearing was held in September of this year. We're taking hearings by phone. And after there was no one present at the hearing, there was a repair or demolish order that was the next letter sent. We've had a number of calls from people in the neighborhood and along the street that are concerned about the dilapidation of the disrepair of the property. There's been several concerns. It did become eligible this month in November to be heard by you. And the estimated cost to repair the property, I believe you'll see photographs on the next slide, but there is $11,000 worth of damage at a minimum, and the fair market value is $7,000 as you see it there. Here are pictures of the current state of the property, and I believe the gentleman who would like to speak with you is Terence Wardlow, who did contact me yesterday I believe it was either yesterday or Monday, to explain his concerns. I did share his concerns, and I asked that he write his concerns down so I could share them with the council member of the ward, and that's Council Member Taylor. So he has also spoken with Council Member Taylor, and Council Member Taylor has advised us this afternoon that he is in favor of how the council decides on this particular property.
Thank you. Mr. Wardlow.
So the property that y'all are viewing, it was given to me by my father after he passed away. What happened was, the reason why it's in the shape it's in now, as you can see, the roofing was stripped off. I paid the guy $4,000 to fix it. He was a friend. He was supposed to be a friend of my father's. When my dad passed, the guy basically wanted an extra $2,000 to do what we agreed upon. So he just basically ran away with my money, and that put me in a hole. I'm a school teacher. My money doesn't accumulate that fast. So basically, I just needed a little bit more time to try to make these repairs. This house hadn't been like that for forever. I know the neighbors, they live there. Eventually, I'm trying to live there. I understand they're complaining about it. It hadn't been like that for forever. It recently got to this condition. It's me, and as you see, my younger brother, he's also on there as well. He doesn't work. He suffers from mental disease. I also take care of him. I mean, that's just how it rolled out right now.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the committee or the committee?
I have a question.
Vice Chair Scipio.
Yes, Mr. Wardlow,
Yes, ma'am.
what is your intention of having this house repaired, and what kind of timeline are you anticipating you can get this done?
I talked to some independent contractors with more reputable work, and they told me that it's basically like a 2-month process total at the minimum, due to the extensive amount of work that needs done. But I've got a guy to quote me in kind of my range in which I'm able to actually afford it. I don't want the city to put a lien on my property. It would be in compliance if I had a little bit more time.
And are you saying that time would be in 2 months, or is it going to be later than that?
So if it's November, I'm assuming that I could be in compliance by mid-February at the latest.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bessie.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I didn't understand what Councilmember Taylor was recommending. Could you?
Councilmember Taylor, this is Sharon
Yes.
speaking. Councilmember Taylor is recommending with staff is the condition of this house and the history of this house. Unfortunately, the case has gone back as far as the 90s with environmental and housing cases. This information was shared with Councilmember Taylor. The photographs were shared with Councilmember Taylor, and Mr. Wardlow's email that he sent to me was shared with Councilmember Taylor. So Councilmember Taylor is agreeing that the property is in a demolition state. Councilmember Taylor also, actually his CAL spoke with me this afternoon and expressed that Councilmember Taylor is who I'm referencing, as he expressed that he has talked to neighbors on the street. So he agrees that the property is in a state where it is not in a situation where it is going to be completely finished or could be completely finished in his view and in our view. So he agrees with staff that this is a problem that has had a long history and has been a concern of the neighborhood.
May I interject?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Wardlow.
As far as a long history, I'm not understanding what they mean by long history. If anything, it may be a grass that needed being cut once or twice, a letter in the yard about grass. But as far as that situation, I know y'all already voted. All right, never mind.
Well, Mr.
I can see. I read body language. It's all good.
We have to revote because we pulled it, so to give you an opportunity to speak. Councilmember Larson.
I'm kind of curious. In one of the photos, I'm seeing a whole lot of cuttings and debris removal. Are these recent photographs?
Yes, sir.
So you've been working on the site?
Yes, sir.
How long has it been empty? How long has the house been empty?
That house has been vacant since 2016.
So four or 5 years it's been empty?
Yes, sir.
And your father passed and gave it to you when?
My dad passed away at the end of August of last year.
Last year. So you inherited the house. You've had about a year of ownership on this house?
Yes, sir. The roof, the visual that you guys see, that's what I'm trying to explain. The visual that you guys see is due to the guy. He took off all the roofing and was putting new shingles up. He left it bare so the elements got to it. I had already, like I was stating, I've already put $4,000 in the roof. I don't mind reinvesting that money into that property. It's just that it just wasn't going to happen right around the corner.
Did you grow up in this house?
Yes, sir.
So it's your family home?
Yes, sir.
It's important to you to keep it?
Yes, sir.
And you think you could get it back in shape in 2-3 months? You got enough money to pay a contractor to do that?
Yes, sir. I was been to the bank. I was going to take out a loan in order to get this completed.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Robert Clark, and then Councilmember McIntosh.
Okay. To the owner, sir, what kind of price have you got from someone to fix it?
A guy stated that he would carry out everything for $15,000.
How much?
$15,000. Yes, sir. That's what's on your guys' docket. There's other things that I, of course, want to get redone. But as far as getting it compliant with the city, he was giving me an estimate of $15,000, and he told me that would be on his high end. That's with me paying for all parts. That's just labor.
Yeah.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry, Councilmember.
You got to add. Okay.
Go ahead.
That's just his labor. You still have to provide all the materials?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think if you spend all that money plus materials, you're going to lose money. I don't think it's going to be worth that much when you finish.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Thousands of dollars of materials, I would think. Anyway, go ahead.
My questions were in line with several ones that have already been asked. What's the financial commitment that's going to be necessary? Has that level of financing been approved by a bank? And the other question was, when did the current owner take possession of it? And the deed was granted in November 2017, so it's been a little bit longer than that. But I haven't been inside the house. I've rescued houses that look worse than this, but it takes money and it takes a firm commitment from the bank. So those would be the things that I would be most concerned about. Not really a question.
One comment from Councilmember Scipio.
Committee members, I'm always in favor of allowing residents to continue to own their property that's been inherited. I know a lot of it gets in disrepair because of circumstances and situations. I would believe Mr. Wardlow is sincere in his intentions and his efforts. And I would like to recommend that we give him time to February to actually take care of this house and maintain his family home. I'm certainly in favor of that. I do know, and you all know, that if it's not carried through, we come back and look at it as being demolition, and we do carry forth the order. So I would like to move that we give him an extension of to February to get the house in order.
Can you put that in days? I mean, is that February the 1st or February 28th?
On the floor, Councilmember Clark, are you seconding it or are you amending it?
I want to know if she's going to February the 1st or February the 28th.
If we can go February 1st, I do my best effort. And if I fell short, then you guys do what you guys have to do. But that's more than fair.
I got a comment that the city attorney needs to make. City attorney.
Suggest if the committee wants to extend it to February, that you extend it to the General Government Committee meeting date in February, which
That would be fine.
I think is the 9th. Is that what you got?
Yeah,
That's if the committee is inclined to grant him time.
for information and clarity. If this motion passes with the date, amended date, this does not go to council on Monday.
It does not.
It gets pulled until the next general government meeting.
Well, to the one in February.
I mean, in February, not December or January.
Unless, that's typically what happens unless you direct otherwise.
It's November.
3 months.
3 months.
There's a motion on the floor. Could you restate the motion, please, with the amendment?
I move that we allow the homeowner until February, I think you said the 9th, 2021, to effect repairs on the house.
Is there a second? Again. Councilmember Clark, did you not second it the first time?
No, I just had
A question.
I'm Michael second.
Okay.
I'll second for discussion.
Councilmember Bessie has seconded the motion. Councilmember Bessie, comments?
Yeah, there are two ways you can do that. You can just pull it from the agenda and have it come back in February, or you could say you could turn this into a repair or demolish with the effective date of February 9, so that the committee had the opportunity to reconsider if it concluded that things were almost done or were making satisfactory progress. I share the question about whether this is a good investment. If it has sufficient sentimental value to Mr. Wardlow and his family that they want to sort of overpay.
This is kind of more necessary, this is not a monetary move. This is not going to profit me anything, but it's to make sure, like I told you guys, my younger brother, he's mentally challenged, and he needs something.
Excuse me, Mr. Wardlow, city attorney.
I was just going to mention, if the committee wants to, it can certainly move it forward, approve it as is, move it forward with an effective date of February 9th, 2021. So it can move it forward to council in that manner if it does not want to hold it in committee, which is what essentially Councilmember Bessie is indicating.
Okay. Councilmember Scipio or Bessie, are you willing to pull your motion and go with the motion that the city attorney suggested, Vice Chair?
I'm sorry, I was just going to suggest with the clarification.
repeat city attorney for clarification for Councilmember Beth.
Okay, sure. Two options. One, you can leave it in committee with the understanding it will come back to committee on February 9th, which is the committee date, for reconsideration. Or you can move it forward to city council and have an effective date of maybe the day after the 9th, February 10th, 2021. So if council passes the demolition ordinance, it will not take effect until then. Hopefully, if he has everything done, then the demolition ordinance, although it has been adopted, it would not be carried forward.
Okay.
So the question is, do you want council to go ahead and adopt the ordinance with an effective date in the future, or do you want it to come back to committee and look at it on February 9th?
What is the committee's pleasure? I know we have a motion on the floor and a seconded.
I could support that. If Ms. Scipio would amend the motion, I could support that because that gives him 90 days and we get one more look at it.
Which one, Councilmember Clark? Are you talking about suggestion number one, which leave it on in committee till the 9th of February, or forwarding it to the city council with the effective date of February 10th?
Forwarded to the city council. That way he's got 90 days, but the clock is ticking.
Okay. Councilmember Scipio, are you willing? You and Councilmember Bessie? No? Yes?
I am in favor of moving it forward to the committee, to the council with an effective date of February. If Mr. Wardlow understands he has 90 days to make the repairs, and if they are not made, then the demolition order goes into effect. If that's my understanding of moving it forward.
Okay.
That is
That's a
correct.
question.
Wait a minute. That's a motion, Councilmember Scipio?
Did I have to do a motion?
Yes.
Okay, well, I move for that to happen, that we move it forward with an effective date of February 9th, 2021.
May I get a second before we start discussion?
Second.
I have a motion with a second. All right, discussion, Councilmember Larson.
Yes, if it comes to council on February 9th and a certain amount of work has been done, who decides whether that is enough to leave it on the agenda or not? Is that going to be done by
The council.
who?
Staff will make a presentation.
Staff has the authority.
It'll come just like all of them come in your agenda items, attachments, pictures, narrative. Same thing.
But so nobody will pull it from the agenda. It'll actually go to council for voting at that point with a staff recommendation. If the work has been done, is it going to be pulled off the agenda, or will it actually go to vote on city council at that point?
If the work has actually been done, then staff will take care of it, and we will basically cancel the demolition ordinance, because you already have a resolution in effect that allows me to cancel demolition ordinance if the work has been done.
So
if everything's been done, it will not come back to council.
So we would not see it. Okay.
No.
Thank you for clarifying.
Now, if he does not do the work, the date that it will come back to council will actually be the 15th, if I'm looking at the calendar right. Again, if he does the work, it will be taken care of automatically.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are you ready for the vote, the question? The roll call, Vice Chair Scipio,
Yes.
Councilmember Bessie,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Adams, yes. The motion passes. Mr. Wardlow?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wardlow,
Yes, ma'am.
staff will get with you to understand to the letter of whatever needs to be understood. We do this a lot. And once we start putting these other steps in place, we want to make sure that you understand your side of the responsibility as well as ours, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right then, good luck.
I appreciate it, council.
City Clerk, please read the next item.
Item G2, resolution approving a goal of 100% clean renewable energy by 2050 and creation of green jobs.
I have Mr. Taylor, and we probably do have some people that may want to speak. I'm not sure, Ms. Martin, but Mr. Taylor, would you please present?
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Chair Adams, other members of the committee, council members, and council member-elect. Tonight, I'm going to ask Ms. Sarah Pesic, the chair of the Sustainability Committee, to present this resolution on our clean renewable energy goals. 50. Ms. Pesic.
I'm sorry, my internet went out just at that moment.
We saw you. We just saw you.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, council members, council member-elects, committee members, as well as others joining us today. Thank you for letting us present a revised version of the resolution.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I think she froze. Oh.
Well, we'll come back to that item.
Yeah. Is there anyone else on the line, Mr. Taylor?
Sorry, I'm back. I'll try one more.
She's back.
This has been the story of COVID. My internet cuts out all the time. So I just wanted to mention that what we're presenting again is still keeping us on the path to fulfill the goals that both the mayor and the governor have set forth to address climate change and clean and renewable energy. And since the outline of this is similar to what you saw before, I wanted to highlight some of the key changes that we made, just so you can see the difference between the two. We removed the language about supporting the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, as it was largely symbolic and it wasn't going to directly impact the actions and the programs of the city or of our committee. So we eliminated that. We had an active discussion about the inclusion of green jobs and assisting vulnerable communities in the resolution, as well as because we heard a lot of comments from this committee. And we decided it was imperative to leave all of that in. We wanted to leave that into the core resolution, but we did take out, in order to simplify, we took out some of the specifics and moved it into our work plan. So even though you see slightly less language on this around green jobs, it's going to be in the work plan, and we're creating a subgroup specifically working on that component and have already made some headway with kind of inter-organizational work around green jobs and spatial justice and things like that. We also changed some of the resolution around the reduction requirements as it applies to city operations to make it more feasible, and that was with sustainability staff input. So those are the key highlights that I wanted to mention, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers, Mr. Taylor? Ms. Martin? Any other speakers? All right, any comments from the committee or council members? Councilmember Bessie.
Yeah, I like the revised version. I like simple and direct resolution language, and I'll be happy to move approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded with comments. Councilmember Clark.
Yeah. This is one of those feel-good type motions, but it doesn't do anything. And I've suggested this before to the sustainability folks, committee, whatever it is, commission. Bring us specific recommendations and we will look at them. I know yesterday in finance, we approved $1.4 million to buy new, I think they're the replacement batteries. They don't call them batteries for the hybrid buses.
Right.
But I keep throwing out street lights. Somebody bring me a proposal to replace all the street lights with LEDs, and let's see what it is. Just an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark. I think that's part of the work plan that the commission will undertake. They will bring us, as you said, ideas or suggestions, and that will even help us once we get that to drive to other metrics or improvements. Any other comments or questions?
Yes. if I may, I'm the Director of Sustainability for the city. Mayor Pro Tem, committee members, council members, and council member elects. Just to that last point, the Office of Sustainability is also working on details like that, and we will plan to give you that information. We will start with streetlights. I know that's a big one, and some other information around LEDs in our city facilities. So we are doing that work right now. We do plan to bring that forward for the information of other council committees. Thank you.
And I think, again, to Councilmember Clark and Councilmember Bessie's point, if you could give us a matrix to let us know all of the things that the city has done since the creation of the Sustainability Commission, which I think, Mr. Garrett, it was 2008. I served on the first commission. If you could bring a year of whatever we've done, whether it's the buses, whether it's some, as Councilmember Clark said, some lighting somewhere, some plug stations, something, because we'd like to just see what we've done. And then you can tell us, when we, put it side by side as to what the committee is recommending to us.
Yes,
Any other
we'll be happy
comment?
to do that.
Thank you. Councilmember Larson.
I think this is, first of all, I appreciate the work of the commission to begin to focus this topic. It's been sort of sliming around the city for the last several years since I've been on council. And I appreciate the mayor reactivating the commission and getting focused on it. I think what it tells me is a multifaceted responsibility that falls throughout the city, and maybe particularly on this council, to monitor what we can do on a daily basis, on a budget perhaps, or as things come before us, to actually keep the sustainability question as one of our benchmarks as we evaluate things. I keep going back to we approved all these police cars about three months ago, and not one of them was hybrid. And I'm sort of wondering, why we're not thinking about some of these things as we go along. This is a challenge to all of us, I think. And we've got a new administration in Washington now that's going to be very interested in all of this. Hopefully some money will be coming out of their interest in that, which we should keep an eye on. And hopefully we can all boats rise as we try to address this issue worldwide. So thank you for your work.
Any other comments or questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second, and we will now do the roll call vote. Vice Chair Scipio.
Yes.
Councilmember Bessie.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams, yes, and that vote is unanimous and it passes. Are there any other comments or questions to the good of the order? City Attorney has her hand up.
I just would like to make a clarifying point on item, I guess, C4, if I may.
Yes.
If it goes to council on Monday with the provision that the ordinance becomes effective February 8th, I think was the date, if the property owner does not comply, it actually does not have to come back to council. The ordinance just becomes effective and then we proceed with demolition. If he complies, then I can cancel the ordinance. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Councilmember Scipio.
So, Attorney Carmen, if the resident has not completed all of the repairs, but there are some in limbo, will that then force it to come back to council for another determination or further extension?
Normally what happens is they will sign a VDA agreeing to make all of the repairs. So if they don't make all of the repairs, then it typically will be demolished. I guess we can, if council wants staff to do a report before demolishing the property, we certainly can do that, but typically, no.
Yeah, I would hate for somebody to do 95% of repairs and then we demolish the property because of circumstances. So I just hope we have a lot of flexibility in those decisions.
We typically do.
And we typically do. We do, because we have that too all the time with staff, because they're following it. They will notify me or the committee of where they are in the process. Councilmember Clark.
Yeah, why don't we just put it on the January committee agenda, just an update on it? That's 2 months in. That'd be
We could do that.
November to January. That's 2 out of 3 months. Just put it as a consent item update.
Okay.
Just as a
Councilmember, will do. Councilmember Bessie.
Yeah, that's fine. So the motion is as described, but we also will put it as a update item on January.
Okay.
Yes, we can do that. Okay. Are all hearts and minds clear? If there's no more good of the order, it is adjourned.
Thank you.